When I saw this particular image, all I could think of was Mass Effect and the mass relay, so for a brief moment in the face of my heart nearly stopping every other minute, I was able to geek out until I realized that, oh shit, they're all going to die. And then the shattering realization about the decoy and who they really needed to take out. This episode, oh, holy shit, I mean, the wait was well worth it. Sure, you got more typical, like when it came to characters standing around talking, there's a lot more freeze frames, but I mean, given the monstrosity that is the Morpho, like, I'm not surprised that every other week we get an episode, and I'm just glad that they're actually allowing delays, because typically we might be able to get one or two. After that, production committees say, don't worry about it, just force it out, touch it up maybe in the Blu-ray. The fact that 86 is saying, this shit is hard to animate, we're not gonna rush our CG team, I appreciate that, because holy shit, that thing, from the centipede-like design to the wing design of all this creature, I'm just like, this show never misses. In fact, I think the first thing I want to touch upon is actually one of my new favorite characters, if not maybe my favorite character, Ernst. This boy's amazing. I really love focusing on him and how he literally is, you put me in charge of this nation. This is the ideals that our nation's built upon. You break those, prepare to die. And the idea of, you completely get why everyone is freaking out because that's how a human would respond. And the idea of retreating, trying again another time, and just the whole idea that this man, so cool, calm, and collected, he honestly, had Satan been in the same room as him, and they had to look at Satan or Ernst, I think Ernst would still make them feel the most unnerved, because he felt like a man with a mission. That as he stood with that, after losing contact with Shin and company, saying, if this is what you believe in, if this is the type of people and nation you want to be, basically you put the wrong man in charge, because I'm going to die with these morals. And when they come back into contact, I think literally everyone in that room simultaneously shit their pants, because they realized that Ernst was serious, that this man, we have to follow what he says, otherwise, we're not going to have a nation to uphold. I really enjoyed that. Like, his scenes are always so powerful, and they casted the absolute perfect person for his VA, because there's no one else, I think, who could get that type of authority through, and just how compassionate yet deadly he can be, push come to shove. In terms of the battle, I didn't know exactly what to expect, but I did assume catastrophic devastation. And I think one of my favorite details that 86 uses is its use of background. Often you don't see what happened after the blast is launched, whether it's a giant laser cannon, a missile, whatever it is. But then afterwards, you'll see either characters who might have survived that impact, or you'll see others passing by and looking at the devastation. From almost like a nuclear bomb annihilation landscape and just fire, like a couple of bots are shooting back at it, but you realize there's nothing you can do, or just seeing entire, what used to be cities completely gone. It's devastating, it is, and I love seeing Shin lose it. I mean, I don't like seeing it on an emotional level, but for the narrative, I love seeing it. This man was a man with a mission, and seeing the exact same thing with the Morpho, and just the idea of how it's very similar to like a normal army organization. You clearly have normal communication, but the idea of that rage and that fuel, and they did such a great animation detail with, because it's basically, you're like in a computer's how it feels, and the idea of the eyes glitching and like it's like merging from angry to normal face as Shin gets closer and closer, almost like taunting him and saying like, you make your objectives so easy to read, it's gonna be easy to take you down, as you hear, I'll kill you, I'll kill you, I'll kill you. And I'm like, 86, you didn't need to go as hard as you did in the voice acting and sound direction, but I thank you for doing it. There were so many moments where it felt like, even though you knew not all of them were dead, like there's no way, because there'd be no way to propel the story if everyone died during those crucial moments of holy shit, did they escape the blast. It didn't change the fact that my heart felt like it kept nearly stopping, and I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna have to like call an ambulance because I'm gonna have a stroke watching this. It was that intense. I really enjoyed it. I think the wait was well worth it, because when you look at just the little details that had they not been there, this battle, this very quick battle, because we get there and almost immediately we're tracking it down because it's retreating, and if we let it go too far, there's no way we'll ever get back to it. The fact that you have the sound effects from the crumbling to the jumping to the blast to the eeriness of the voice effects, like, the reason that conversation between Shin and him was that disturbing was you had all these glitching effects, you had the visuals going crazy. There was one moment where they kept flipping back and forth between their two faces, and it's dizzy and disorienting, and imagining how Shin must feel, it's a completely different beast. Of course, you get some side character stuff as well, just kind of seeing, like, what relationships could have been had, certain people not chosen others, and the idea of not having to give your life for these kids but never wanting to back down. There's just a lot of heart in this episode, and it's one of those things that I'm glad it wasn't just like a, one episode, because we have Shin, it was easy, he did some crazy maneuver, he shot the secret spot because he's Shin, and we blew it up and we retreat, and yeah, we have to fight Legion, but nothing compared to the Morpho. No, instead, it just didn't go according to plan. And because of that, and because Shin is such a crazy master, they did have to retreat. Because in that moment, Shin would have the upper hand given the type of what the Morpho is a long-range devastating cannon. A maneuverability such as that could very well find a weak spot. So retreating makes sense, and the fact that he was actually trying to not listen to orders and had to get overran, basically. It's really cool because this should be something that they really have to work for. And when it came to Frederica popping out of Fido, I mean, you really understood where she was coming from. And there were so many moments where you could tell she was moments away from cracking even before they lashed out at her. The idea that, I'm basically a hostage, you're not going to let me die, so come back home. And it's just one of those things from seeing characters normally so cool, calm, and collected freaking out to just knowing that Shin so casually gave a little girl a gun saying, kill yourself if we all die, because that will be a better death than what the Legion will give you. This show doesn't hold back. It will punch you in the face, and it will be smiling as it does it because it's that confident in its powerful writing. Honestly, though, it does still feel too good to be true that the core 86 cast that we come to know and love haven't received any sort of, like, losing of a limb. They lose their bots so they can't continue fighting. It's feeling too good to be true right now, and I mean, it sounds weird to say given the devastation because there is so many lives lost. But for the viewer, the things that's gonna tear our heart out and make us cry like a little baby is when you see, like, Raiden get his head blown off, or Shin get his head blown off, right? So, given that they're getting closer and closer to Legion territory, on one hand, there's no real threat where they're sitting, but they're getting closer and closer to potentially an even worse situation, and that has my mind racing. This is a military story unlike any other. It really, really is highly refined. Sure, there's always room for improvement, like in some of those dialogue scenes, where they do hold on to those wider shots and maybe it's not the most polished thing ever, but in the face of what they're animating in terms of this battle, I don't find myself saying, oh man, this production's going off the rails. I'm saying, I'm surprised this production is, not taking month-long breaks, seeing what we're animating, and I'm just happy to experience what I'm seeing right now. Let me know your thoughts and feelings, though. We do have a couple-week break before the next episode. Honestly, I'm fine if they want to take a couple-week break every single episode, to be completely honest, as long as I keep getting quality like this. But let me know your feelings down below. Theories if you have any, leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.